What is up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here with part 4 of the ultimate 100% guide for Wuchang Fallen Feathers. In the last episode, we completed all of the Shoe Sanctum area and defeated both of the major area's bosses. We progressed some quest lines, and in this episode, we're going to be taking on the Mercury Workshop. This is a area that is pretty much the equivalent of your poison or your poison swamp or your obligatory Blight Town type area. For this particular game. As I have said before, this guide is going to allow you to obtain every single thing in a single run, and of course obtain the Platinum Trophy if you're on PlayStation 5, or 100% of all achievements on other platforms. So without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, every time you're about to go into a new area, if you don't already have the foresight or knowledge of what's up ahead, well, don't worry, because I'm going to get you covered. What we're going to do though is, because we have a lot of poison to be dealing with, and in particular, poisons in this game are broken into two different types. You have Blight, which overall reduces your health bar and makes it to where your heals are less effective, and then Corruption is going to be your more typical damage over time, the more typical poison that you would be accustomed to. So in either case, what we're going to do is we're going to actually equip an armor set that is not from the DLC, because I'm not using any single item from the Digital Deluxe or Pre-Order Edition. Instead, we'll be using the this garb here, which is the Clerical set. The Clerical set has some of the highest corruption. In the event you weren't happy with that, so if you look at the corruption values, it's 18. You could also go for the Delicate set, which is really nice. So the reason why I'm going to actually mix and match is because Fashion Souls is quite important. So you could go with the corruption resistance from the Delicate armor set here, which is 36. Or you can go to this one, which is 24. I just really prefer the way the Clerical set looks. That's the only reason why we're doing that. It looks fantastic. You know, it's got a little cape and everything, so we're good to go. So what we're going to do is now press forward. If you want, and if you feel like you might be struggling or not have sufficient items, we can always purchase some from Wukong. So you can take a look and see we already have about 25 purple camellia, so we should be good, and some daggers, so we're in good shape. We're going to go ahead and activate this big lever here. This is where you use the Shoe Sanctum key. That's going to open a secret passageway. And this passageway is going to lead us to the Mercury Workshop. In here, you're going to pretty much already be at the point where if you see any purple kind of mist, you're going to be afflicted by it. So what we want to do is make sure we have the purple camellia equipped, so we don't get caught unawares. And later on, in just a few moments, in fact, we're going to be changing out some of these pendants here. So we'll be going over that in due time as well. We're going to get a very, very important pendant that's going to be life-changing here for the long walks and the areas preceding boss fights. So anyways, let's go ahead and sprint through this area here and dash, so hopefully we don't get poisoned. You know, in the event that for whatever reason, let's say, that you did actually get poisoned here, you can use the purple camellia and it reduces your affliction, or the status bar all the way back to full. So every time you see these little items here, you do want to check them and read them. Although they're lower, it's going to actually give you purple camellia in more instances than not. So you can get free purple camellia there, kind of re-up, and we're going to rush this enemy right here. Looks like we're strong enough to defeat them in just 1 or 2 strikes, which is fantastic. We're going to circle around, get the backstab on this guy if we're fast enough. And if not, we can just take him out while he's getting up. No items in here, so just remember that those flowers essentially just give you Skyborn Might. Those little lilies, we don't need to worry about that right now though. What we can do, if you want, is you can go this way and you can then use your ability to kill those guys. I would attack that other lily. You could take the other one out too, but honestly, those little imps, they're not very challenging, so not too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, so now when we circle around in this area, although it looks like you can drop down, you really shouldn't, because there are not any rewards for that at all. You will just die eventually if you keep going down. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take the risk of potentially getting poisoned, and we're going to run straight through this area and make a sharp left as soon as we can, so right there. And we're going to sprint through this area as well. See if we can grab this goodie, and we get a faint red feather for our troubles. See if we can sprint through without getting poisoned, and remember, if we do get poisoned, we can simply use the purple camellia, which we're going to be replenishing throughout the way, so dash through if we need to. Grab this item over here. The blight seeds are going to be a little bit more important than they have been in the past because we're actually going to be facing off with enemies. They can afflict us with blight, so it's a nasty type of poison, and something that I do want to show you kind of how to prevent if possible. I don't suggest having the seeds out though, because more often than not, the blight that you're going to be afflicted with is just pretty minimal, and it can only happen from a few enemies, so you should be fine. I'm panning up here because on top of this platform, there's actually going to be an enemy. But what we want to do is we want to tag the shrine first, and just be mindful that every time you respawn at this shrine, there's going to be an enemy right here, and I'm going to show you. You know, show this enemy to you, of course. It's right there. Okay? So, we're going to go ahead and enter the dream to kind of reset his little position and have him respawn where he needs to go. But every time you respawn there, every time you rest there, there will then be a little imp that shoots, and he's super annoying. So, don't you worry. Alright, so what we can do is find any opportunity to level up. We can bank our red mercury essence and use it as needed. I like stamina. I would like some stamina. That's going to allow us to continuously strike. Also looking to see, okay, yeah, we could bump this up here. That's always a nice thing to fill these out, especially if you're self-diagnosed OCD like myself. I'm just kidding. Alright, looks good to me. In terms of our items and everything else, we're in good shape. There's no reason to be doing any kind of backtracking at this point in time, and we now have the best armor equipped. Remember, the delicate set is also just as viable. So what I like to do with this guy is I like to kind of dash out, get a lock on, and then if I don't have any Skyborn Might, then I just go for some knife throws. Remember, if you do have the monkey pendant, your throws are, or your throwables are going to do even more damage. So we took him out. He's no longer a threat. And you may see that we have this flesh bridge here. We're going to be exploring that in just a moment, but first things first. There's a ladder here that's going to be connecting this area and act as something of a shortcut. And then we have this, which is another lore entry from a diary or journal. We get some more purple camellia for our troubles. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm at the right part in my guide here. Lovely. Alright, so now, as you can tell, there's different types of vases there. Naturally, there's going to be a mimic vase, right? Because why not? Once we get the Skyborn Might, we can go ahead and trigger a Vorpal Blade. Wait for a strike here. Lovely. And now we've taken her out. She was also guarding this item here. It is the Crimson Lantern Fruit ×2. Just so that you know, this is one of 2 lifts in the area, the mining shaft number 1. Another thing I did want to mention is I began this guide with patch version 1.4, and now we have patch version 1.5. There have been some things that have changed with 1.5 from like a story mode perspective and all of that to appease you know, some individuals that were complaining about certain things in the game. So I will be going over some of those changes, but for the most part, all the changes are quite minimal, and everything that you've seen up to this point is still 100% accurate. So that mining shaft lift is not active yet, so we're going to be circling around this way instead. And you know what? I am going to use a heal just because I took a lot more damage than I was anticipating. And we're going to work our way down here. Now, in subsequent runs, you're going to see that this is actually going to be guarded by a little bug type enemy, kind of like a centipede, like a short centipede. And those are the enemies that do afflict blight. But instead of doing anything fancy here, we're going to go and grab this. This will fall as soon as you activate it, and then we're going to go ahead and press forward. This bug here is the centipede creature that I was referring to. Go around that little obstruction there. You can get a backstab on this guy and finish him off before the fake monk comes through. He should be coming to the right over here. And we can get a backstab on him as well, since he's so generous to leave such a grand opening there. But you're gonna see nests like that, or burnt little flesh pieces like that, and what you do is you drop down, you grab the item, and essentially you know you're gonna then be taken to a separate area. So just so that you know and so that you can see, we drop down from up here, and there's technically, from this point anyways, no way to turn back, right? But we are going to loop together this area, clear it out, and then I'll show you how to get back in the right area. So we have another one of these little lilies here. You can grab them so you can increase your Skyborn might. And then we can grab this item here, the Kong wine. Oh gosh, we got the ambush there. That honestly, I was gonna make a joke there, but he misses you as long as you're moving forward 9 times out of 10. So, but anyways, we're gonna be making our way up a ladder here soon. We've got 2 more of these little imps here as well. There you go. No items yet, just a lot of gore and creepy things. We're gonna go up this ladder here. And then there's going to be a spike trap. I want to show you that how the traps in this game really work. As of patch 1.5, it seems like they've slowed down the spike trap intervals even further, so it's even easier to dodge them. But in this particular sequence in the Mercury Workshop, they were a little fast, so you would get hit if you didn't have a way around them. But here, there's really nothing that there's no reason why you should get hit by this. You could simply go around. But the kind of trick here and the trap is that you're supposed to go, oh, I can go straight to the item, and that's a pressure plate. That pressure plate is a trap, and you will get shot with arrows. So just avoid it, go around the other way instead. And we can grab the Crimson Lantern fruit. So here, this is just taking us full circle. This was the enemy that was shooting us from above. That means that the save point is just below us. If you can see, I'm kind of panning to it in a weird little way. And what we're going to be doing is crossing over this little flesh bridge. And instead of going left, I typically go left and then circle around in a clockwise fashion. We're actually going to turn right. You do want to be ready to chase a bamboozler. So that is little enemies. Well, not really enemies. Just little cute guys that give us the bamboo shoots here. And there are 20 of them in the game. They are tied to an achievement. So once you defeat all 20, you will get the achievement for them. So we're going to come around here, grab another faint red feather for upgrade materials, avoid the pressure plate. I think they do quite well to kind of highlight them that they're in the way, so just avoid them. Now we're going around the flesh bridge. We're going to take out some corpse enemies, so in the event that you're having trouble and you're kind of concerned about these enemies, you can, of course, switch to something that's going to deal fire damage. And that will pretty much make quick work of these enemies, but always get behind them. These coffin enemies are, more than anything, incredibly susceptible to fire because they are made of wood. So wooden enemies are susceptible to fire, whereas enemies in armor are going to be susceptible to like lightning damage. Feathered enemies and undead are typically also weak to fire, and then anything that may be like bow, like a bow type, you're going to see that it's a BO, a race of like ancient people. They're going to be really susceptible to frost. So anyways, we're going to keep working our way here. And yes, I know I can sprint, but I am narrating, so I want to take my time here. And that way, if you're following along, you know exactly where to go. But these in particular were quite fast, and you were pretty much guaranteed to get stabbed by them. So I am glad that they actually reduced the interval a little bit. Stuck against the collision, that's fun. We can open up this chest, and this is going to give us 1 out of 31 pendants. This is the 7th pendant, by the way. This Draco Lich pendant is incredibly important. Make sure you drop down that ladder, and before anything else, you can go ahead and switch over. I would change out the Burn pendant in particular to the Draco Lich pendant. The thing that's so effective about this is that enemies have, like Lu Hong Liu, for example, the boss we defeated in the previous episode, they have the ability to do beast roars, and those can make you flinch and kind of stun you. This pendant prevents you from getting stunned. There are many enemies actually just on the way to the boss that are going to use this roar technique as well. And then whenever you're getting attacked by other enemies, like the little centipedes, it can become a massive issue. So It's always a great thing to go ahead and equip the Draco Lich Pendant when you know enemies are utilizing the Beast Roar, or if the boss has a roar that it can utilize as well. But anyway, so now we are pretty much right back where we started. That's the ladder that I showed you in the beginning. That's where we killed the Mimic Vase, and that was the lift that didn't work. So what I'm going to do, just for safety purposes, is I'm going to go ahead and rest again and heal. So we're going to enter at the Dream. That's going to replenish all of our stuff. We're going to pretty much now explore the other part of this little fleshy bridge. And essentially, the reason why I do that is because you have a bit of a longer stretch, and there are tons of enemies that can prove problematic. Also, just so you know, don't be concerned about the shooter. He doesn't even pay attention unless you're going directly under him. So we're in good shape there. I'm going to switch over to the axe just for fun. The axe deals tons of damage, and also it does stagger quite a bit. So we had initially turned left, and we dropped down a burnt part or node on this little fleshy bridge, and we went that way. I'm going to switch to the Vorpal Blade spell and make sure we take out this gunner over here, and then we have a second gunner down below. So before he even aggroes, we can go ahead and take him out. So now both of the ranged enemies have been taken out from afar. And then we're about to get one of the best weapons in the game, one of my favorite weapons in fact. And that is, of course, the Lashing Whip. I always call it the Whipping Lash for some reason. But the Lashing Whip is really nice because it is a long sword, and the best part of it is that it extends. So it's almost like a whip in the sense that it has increased range. So it is quite powerful, quite effective, and it tends to have really good slash and stab damage, whereas the axe focuses primarily on blunt damage. So it's incredibly powerful because many enemies are actually weak to that type of damage. So really, really great weapon, and something that we will be using really soon as well. So right now, just because we happen to have, you know, our Cloud Frost Edge full of benedictions, we could switch to that, or we can use this. It truly doesn't matter. We just need to remember that next time we go to a shrine, we go ahead and change out the benediction so this weapon can be fully slotted. But anyways, an excellent weapon. Absolutely love it. Alright, so if you go down the scaffolding here and turn left, there is going to be an ambush. You have a kind of centipede enemy, and then you have this guy as well, so just be careful. What I typically do is get behind, if I can anyways, and then go for the big combo there. That green status affliction bar right there is the blight. We want to avoid that if we can. Waiting for him to commit to a strike here. There you go. And then we can take him out as well. But yeah, the centipedes are quite annoying. Even when they die, sometimes if they're mid-strike, they can pump out that poison. That's pretty annoying. Alright, we've got the red mercury sprout, and we can grab purple camellia. The funny thing is, half the time when you're getting the purple camellia, you're having to use some to get to it. So it's pretty funny. It's more so like, oh, you're a completionist, huh? Let's make you have a fun time here in this area, in this poisoned area here. Alright, so we're gonna head out around this way now. Eventually we'll be activating some one of the lifts, in fact. You can always tag these for some free Skyborn Might. Look to see what attack he's going to do. So he's going to go for the grab. We're going to just get behind him, and then we can go ahead and finish him off. Again, the axe does massive amounts of damage. Excellent for stagger as well and interrupting enemy attacks. But since patch 1.5, even more of the light attacks can interrupt and stagger enemies as well. So pretty cool. I like it. So anyways, this here, there used to be a centipede there, but I guess not anymore as a 1.5. It seems like they simplified a few things as well, which, hey, I'm not averse to removing some ambushes, you know? We're gonna avoid all the crazy people in this little cavern. There is going to be a female enemy up here that, if she grabs you, she can deal poise damage, which is pretty nasty. It'll be a big chunk of damage that you receive. So on the other side of this kind of, we'll call it a cell or cage, be very careful. She lunges much faster than the monks though, so wait for her to initiate her lunge, dash behind her, and then you can go for just light attack. She'll finish her off in no time. Doesn't have tons of health or tenacity, so you can knock her around like crazy. Alright, so here, this is incredibly important that you watch this for at least 30 seconds. Because this guy is the a red-eyed variant of one of the Twerk Masters. He's getting, he's getting down right now. So honestly, you know, I think that it's good to watch that. And although you can attack him from up top, I think we give him the honor of fighting him on his level because he is just getting down. So, of course, upon defeating this enemy, we're going to get, he's red eye, right? So we're going to get a crafting material, so a certain feather type, and then a red mercury essence, and then maybe some other good stuff. So let's go ahead and take him out. If you have the lashing whip, you can sometimes actually reach him with a backstab. So I try and rush and see if I can get it. You rush off that cliff there. I'm going to switch over to the axe just for fun, and then we can go ahead and finish him off before he even gets up. But that's the red-eyed Twerk Master. We got the faint red feather and the red mercury essence. We're also going to be grabbing a raven pill. Now before you just rush out here and go towards the ladder, there's an enemy on the left and an enemy on the right. The monk on the left is much slower than the enemy on the right, so we're going to actually just aggro her. Completely get backed into that corner there, and yeah, there you go. Just kidding, that wasn't supposed to happen. But yeah, so what you want to do is you want to just go in, jump back in, and then she'll follow you. Typically you'll get the Skyborn Might, and then you can go ahead and take her out. But unfortunately, I got stabbed. Multiple times, in fact. So if you go this way, it's just another lily that's going to give you some Skyborn Might. But we're going to turn left. And we're going to get some Crimson Lantern Fruit. Now this does have an enemy that will drop down. It's going to be one of those little guys. So if you have like a spell and Skyborn Might active, you can go ahead and do that to initiate the aggro. Drop the enemy down and we can grab the goodies. If you stay at the very edge, you can more often than not avoid getting the corruption buildup as well. So, alright, so now we're going to go down this ladder. And be careful, like this area is one that you want to navigate pretty slowly. Don't just run around blindly. So you see that there's the two enemies there and you're like, okay, I can maybe get the drop on them, right? If I rush around and do a running attack kind of thing. But if you do that, you're going to see very carefully there's an enemy right there. And if you run past that threshold, he will try and stab you and knock you off the ledge. So what we're going to do is just initiate. Get behind him if at all possible. And you can time it to get the Skyborn Might, but because I'm recording, it's likely that that's simply not going to happen. So, anyway, so now just so that you know, this is the lift that's going to take us back up to the beginning area, and then this is the second lift, which is now going to, of course, be inactive, right? Can't do anything about it, so that's mine shaft number 2. This is not going to work for us, but you can read the lore. And the lore right here is going to give us some more Emerald Lotus Seeds. So before anything, we can go back down. You do want to activate the lift no matter what. And just so that you know, as of patch 1.5, the lifts, when you're on them, still move the same speed for loading purposes, of course, but when you're calling the lifts, they move 3 times as fast. So they can get to you much quicker now. But anyway, say for example we're struggling. We got the shooter up there, by the way. This would be the way back to the shrine. Okay? So again, if we want to, we're able to enter the dream and do whatever we want. I am going to be changing out the benedictions since we're here, because why not? And the lashing whip is just an incredible weapon. I absolutely love it, so... Alright, so we'll go with that for now. And what else do we have here? Potency of counter moves, excellent. So we're pretty much taking off all the ones we had on the original weapon and now changing them out for this. And that's perfectly fine. We can also rest because we did take a decent amount of damage. We got hit a few times. It's only because we're doing a guide, of course. Why not? But what we're going to be doing is after we've rested, fully replenished our health, We can make sure we don't get shot in the back by spam dodging like crazy, and then we're going to go down the lift. Now that we've used the lift and taken it up a single time, that mechanism in front of us will always work, so we can always call it up, or whatever location we can call it down or call it up, depending on where we're at and which mechanism we use to activate it. So, good stuff. We got this brother right here. Now we can get our revenge on him, right? Jerk. And what we're going to do is we're going to cross this bridge and kill these enemies over here, so let's be mindful of our approach to make sure we don't get hurt. If you press L1, you pretty much attack everything in the vicinity, so it's a beautiful weapon ability. Incredibly effective as well. So what we want to do is we are going to actually be coming around this way on this little flesh spiral thing. You can go left or right. We're going to be turning right really quickly. Before we drop off and down, you might be hearing a cuckoo nearby, and that's because we're going to be clearing that out in due time. There's about 105 cuckoos to be exact. If we rush that item, just keep in mind that you might be ambushed by another centipede, our little favorite enemies here. We can grab this, the Blight Dagger, and be on our way. Now, it's a safe time to go ahead and drop down this burnt node on the flesh bridge, as I call it, and dash forward because there will be an enemy behind us. So depending on, you know, how comfortable you are, you can spam magic, or you can go for a more melee approach, a direct approach, if you will. There you go. Stay away from the Blight. Blight is nasty. It will reduce your overall health bar and make heals ineffective for a period of time. You might hear and see the cuckoo. We'll be taking it out in due time, and then I do want to show you this door here. We're going to be coming out from the other side of that door in due time. But now, as you notice, we drop down from this little node here on the flesh bridge. We're going to be coming back around this way. If you're able to, you can switch over to the axe, and any fire spell is going to be really effective against this. So just remember that this is the reason why we have the Draco Lich Pendant. And of course they blow up. That's my bad. So defeating those blight, like those enemies that are kind of like just blighted, you can defeat them with fire. They're incredibly susceptible to fire, and then once they die, they explode with a big kind of corruption AoE blast. Just be very careful with those guys. Those are quite annoying. They're going to be all over the place, by the way. So we're going to cross over this scaffolding. And just watch for any enemies around the way. Remember, if we do get poisoned, we have Purple Camellia. We can use it to heal. We've got another enemy right here. We're probably going to get poisoned here, and it's fine. I'm so aggressive. I'm so greedy with the damage. But we're going to go up this ladder, and you can hear the cuckoo. We're just actually above it, but we're going to be dropping down and get a clear line of sight here before long. Rush through this cave. Watch the spikes. This is a wall blight here. It would roar, and then of course when it dies, it does do the corruption blast, so let it explode in peace. Give it its little time to do that, and then we're going to dash past the spikes, open up the chest, and then we're going to open this door. We get the Phoenix Pendant, which is pendant number 8 out of 31. You need 31 pendants in order to get the achievement for them in this game. And that pendant in particular is going to increase the ailment buildup of the throw attack. So like that means if you're throwing a certain type of dagger or something that builds up a status effect, it'll do it much more effectively. So we'll take him out. Now, the monk should still be feasting over there right in front of the cuckoo, so we're going to go this way. We were just on the other side of that. This is the door that I pointed at just a few moments ago. So rush over here, and we can take out this enemy that's just chomping on the plants. And then we can kill the cuckoo with a well-placed flying dagger and get that Arum feather. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be coming back around this. Remember, we could have come down from here, right? So just so that you know, we actually went all the way back up that area, instead of coming down to the left, because we would have missed all the things where the broken node was, etc. So we're trying to be incredibly thorough here and grab every single item, so if you're following along, you're not going to miss a thing. Go ahead and pick up this item. You don't need to go down the ladder necessarily, because if you do, this guy's going to have all the time in the world to aggro. He is a tanky variant of the kind of feathered villager, if you will, so take him out quickly, grab this item, and then we're going to go down the ladder. This is the second lift, which we can go ahead and activate, and I'll show you how you would have like a quick path back to the shrine or back to this lower level. In either case, it's nice to know the pathways. You might unlock the shortcuts, but then if you're still new to the area, you might be a little overwhelmed. But essentially, this would be lift number 2, right? So just to verify, or mining shaft number 2. And then all you do is from this shaft, you make a right, and then that takes you to the lift number 1. And lift number 1 takes you up, and then you just paces away from the shrine. So if all you need to do is when you get from the shrine, you'd go down shaft number 1, and then you go down shaft number 2, and now you're right where we need to be. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Walks of shame are nothing to be ashamed about. They are important because they at least allow you to get a better layout of the land, and you understand, lay of the land, if you will. You understand the layout of the area, and you can connect all the dots of the level design, which I honestly love doing. So anyway, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab some more items. Purple Camellia ×3. Lovely. It's so funny because, again, like, you're risking getting poisoned, so you can grab an item that helps you with poison affliction. Love it. The irony. So Draco Lich Pendant working there. We're going to go ahead and use the Purple Camellia. He does 6 strikes there, just so you know. Let him kind of express himself, if you will, and get all those 6 strikes out, because if you fight him while he's doing those strikes, you can get the Blight Affliction, and it's quite annoying. So we're going to grab this over here. Wait for this enemy to kind of jump at us, make a move, and then we can counter. And we're just going to keep working our way through here, defeating all these, like, I don't know, these blighted enemies. I don't even know what they are. The weird guys, the flesh bags. We can go ahead and aggro this guy because he's just sitting there like a dummy. Thank you, sir. And then, if just so you can see the difference, if you do have a fire spell or anything equipped, the massive amount of damage it does. So you're always willing to, if you need to equip your temperance here, or to temper your weapon with fire. We're going to be saving that for a little bit later, though, so that's the only reason why I don't do it yet. But just so that you know, this is the bridge. It's going to give us some excellent goodies. This over here is just an area that kind of just circles around. We will be seeing, oh gosh, I got a little too close. We'll be actually getting on the other side of this in due time, but we still have a little ways to go before that. So anyway, so there will be an enemy up here. I wouldn't suggest tempering your weapon just yet, but instead come across this, and we can switch back over to the axe to take out the enemy that used to be right there. Did they make that easier too? 1.5, guys. They're certainly simplifying things a bit. We get Lost Remains, which allow us to upgrade our mana vase. And then we can grab the Twin Infant Pendant. I'm going to watch my back here, because watch, when I'm in the menu, I'm going to get killed by the guy that's not supposed to be there anymore. But the Twin Infant Pendant is incredible. It increases your stamina recovery speed. It is typically a pendant I use throughout the entirety of the run from now on. So another thing you might want is this Draco Lich Pendant, which is going to help us from getting staggered and prevent that whenever the enemy's beast roar. And we'll be changing this out for the Fiend Felling Pendant in just a moment when we approach the boss. So there he is. I knew he was there. I was gonna say, they got rid of my friend? Why would they do that? Alright, so we're gonna circle around this way. Circle to the left. If you need some additional juice, you can grab some Skyborn Might Flower right there. And then rush here to this area. What we're going to do is, if you want, you can temper. Enemies are going to start dropping like flies. You know what we didn't do, though? We didn't ever change it back to fire. But in either case, this weapon's so good that for the most part, it'll be able to deal with this threats here. What a shame. What a shame. Make sure that if you didn't already, we kept it with the poise because Lu Hong Liu, the boss in the last episode, speak to it, but the temperance that you want to have for this particular area is going to be fire. So my mistake. That's why it's always good to check those things before you go into a new area. But grab all of these goodies. There's so many good things you can grab here. All these delicious goodies here. And sometimes the enemies even just give you drops, so it's really nice. We'll get some more purple camellia here for our due diligence and reading all the lore, of course. And then we can come back over here. Back away when they start shaking. So far, it's so good. So of course we do have this area over here, and then naturally a nice little trap. We're gonna use this for now, though. We're gonna switch over to our Echo of Dutanga. We're gonna try and initiate the fire. He should be killed by the fire damage overall, and that should be great for us. And now the second coffin enemy is defeated. Remember, they're very susceptible to fire damage, so you should be good to go. We'll grab the Emerald Lotus Seeds for our troubles. And then we can come down this way and cross over the scaffolding here. This is now the final part of the Mercury Workshop, and it's actually just called the Bandit Cave. Again, the Lashing Whip's going to do wonders here because it can hit multiple enemies at once. It's just so strong and effective. Honestly, my favorite longsword of the game. And you get it so early too, which is really nice. There's so many incredibly viable weapons and powerful weapons and unique weapons, but man, it's just so much fun to use this because you can clear out anything in your vicinity without hardly any trouble whatsoever. So we're going to come down here, and you do want to make sure that you got your Skyborn Might, rush this enemy with a charged backstab, and go ahead and take them out. This enemy, if you have to fight, is going to be quite a challenge. So you do want to instead take them out very quickly before the fight begins. And then we can go ahead and grab our goodies. It's going to be another upgraded material, so we can certainly upgrade our swords beforehand. And then we're going to be making our way past all of this kind of goop. There will be some lore we can read, but sadly we don't get anything for it. Other than knowledge. It's essentially like a prayer to get rid of all the bad stuff. If you press forward, you will initiate the boss fight, so do not do that. Instead, turn right and go back up towards the scaffolding. We're going to make this left here. We're going to grab this item and the corruption kind of mist. We're going to read the lore in this item here to get the purple camellia. We're going to destroy this cuckoo, and then before we activate the shrine, as long as you have some health, just come down here, and you can risk being poisoned, you're fine. Don't even use a purple camellia, just grab the growing red mercury, and then, if you're like really worried, you can use a heal, and let's go ahead and activate the shrine. And then we're going to enter the dream, so you don't have to waste a purple camellia here, you're fine. In this animation, you're not taking any damage anyways, and the good thing is your cooldown, or your, the cooldown for the affliction is actually being, expiring, so you get the nice benefit of some iframes there from activating the shrine. Alright, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and look to see what we can level and all of that. We also want to make sure we switch our temperance to fire, because this boss in particular is incredibly weak to fire. Incredibly weak. Alright, so there's a few things that we obtained along the way, so I want to make sure we're using them. So remember, we have obtained some lost remains. We're going to be using those there. That's going to increase the effectiveness and optimize how much our health we get every time we use a vase. So we got that there. And let's see. Fire is going to be the way to go. I know we had poise break, but we'll switch to lightning. As I'm going to actually undo this right here. Switch to frostbite because that's just one I prefer to use in other instances. Not yet, though. We're not going to use it yet. Other than that, let's see if there's anything else we could use that would help improve us overall. Swift draws. Yeah, we want the points and Skyborn Might we gain from deflection. That'll be something we use to great effect pretty soon. So just so that you know, we've already used the faint red feathers that we can here. You need brilliant red feathers to upgrade this weapon any further, so instead we can upgrade our axe. And the axe is going to be really good to use. Honestly, you can use either the axe or the lashing whip longsword. It's whatever you prefer at this point. So just make sure that, hey, if you prefer a certain weapon type or more comfortable with that weapon, then use that. Make sure that you equip the flame bone needle as well. And other than that, we've already entered the dream. We have all our benedictions equipped. We're happy with the disciplines we have as well. So I think we're good to go. Just to always, if you're not really sure, you can always double check and see if there's any NPC icons here. But at this point in time, we have not obtained any quest items. So nobody needs to be progressed any further in their quest lines. And so we're good to go. You don't really need Purple Camellia, but you can have it on your person because there is a possibility to be poisoned in this fight. But if we do things correctly, it shouldn't be an issue. So we're going to be removing the knives for now just because we don't want too many things in our loadout. And then if we want, we can also equip another fire-based spell, which is this one here. It's going to have massive build-up for fire and burn damage, so it's going to be incredibly important. And then the next thing you want to do is change over to the Fiend Felling Pendant. Now, because we're no longer going to be concerned about corruption, just keep in mind that your burn resistance for this particular set is incredibly low. So there will be a phase 2 for this boss that we're going to be facing off with, and she can initiate an attack that does fire damage, so it can be really nasty. So what we can do, just for the sake of, just having some fun, we can change it to a different armor that has kind of like more burn resistance. So again, the Zhenwu hairpin's fantastic for that, the Zhenwu set in general. But if not, we can switch to just our regular outfit or even the Ming armor. It's whatever you want. Ming has some pretty decent burn resistance as well. Not the best in the world, but obviously not the worst either. And then the standard set, which is the embroidered armor that you start off with, is so incredibly balanced when it comes to resistances. So that's always a really safe choice as well. So anyways, now we have all of everything equipped and ready to go. We have the embroidered set plus the Zhenwu hairpin just for a slightly different style. We have these pendants equipped here. Fiend Felling for big enemies, Draco Lich for Beast Roar resistance, and then stamina recovery. We have fire spells, and then we have Purple Camellia just in case we get in trouble, and the fire temperance. So I think we're in great shape here. Again, you can use the axe or you can use the longsword. Both weapons are incredibly viable and do massive amounts of damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to initiate this boss fight down here, and we are going to go ahead and press forward. Alright, so before we initiate this boss fight, I do want to make something very clear that the boss arena has 4 kind of stalagmites, which are just kind of like piles of these like rocks, and what you want to do is have the enemy, the Blightweaver boss, attack those with her claws. If she does, she's going to get stunned. So there's 4 opportunities to stun her with these stalagmites in the boss arena. So if you start after a subsequent attempt, you're going to be far enough away that you can see her hand strikes. If not, you're going to be, if you're starting the fight immediately after the cutscene and the intro, you're going to be right in her face. So just be prepared to dodge, and I'll kind of narrate as best I can to let you know when to make certain moves. But go ahead and temper your weapon, and before locking on, sprint directly to the left. That's okay. Now you can lock on, dodge, and now we're going to go for some strikes here. There you go, big damage. We like that. Now position yourself near another one of those pillars, and that way you can get hurt even more. With this strike here, it's going to be 6 or so beams of light, and we just want to move out of the way. She's going to dig under the ground. When she digs and you see red, you dodge away. So what I typically do is I just move in a straight line. I'm sprinting, I see the flames, and I dodge away. You can actually counter that, but if you want to be safe, just play it safe and do the best you can by moving as far away as you can. Red, we're going to dodge, and obviously that was poorly timed. That's fine. No big deal. We're going to get behind her if we can, try and trigger her to do something here. To use her claws. There you go. So now she's used her claws to punish herself again, and we can go ahead and finish her off. So we didn't even have to use all of the stalagmites or covered in talismans or anything like that. And just to kind of know, you can even make mistakes like I did and miss some of those attacks as long as you have proper fire resistance and you're good to go. So we're going to get a few things here. The Taoist token, which is a quest item. The Believer's statue, which is an item we can give to Tao Ching. And the Echo of the Great Centipede, which is a spell. So anyways, I wanted to showcase and show you guys on a subsequent attempt, like the best thing to do, because more often than that, you're going to die in your first try. And if you do actually initiate the fight through the cutscene, you're going to be right in her face right here in the middle of the map, and you have to run to one of these 4 corners or dodge her strikes, which is just a flurry. You know, it's usually like it's like 5 or 6 hits in a flurry. Make her go to these towers. Use the towers to your benefit. And then, of course, use the axe with some fire temperance, and she's toast. So I do want to mention a few things in terms of the quest items that we obtained. So this here would be an item that you could give to Huangjian Yi, and that would make her have the alternate outcome where she becomes hostile. We have given her the Trinity Bell, so she's no longer going to be hostile. This here is the Believer statue. We can give this to Tao Ching so we can expand his inventory, and we'll be doing that in due time. And then we also got the Astral Blade one-handed sword, which has an excellent amount of spell power modifier. So it's really strong for anybody using kind of like a magic type build. So really, really fun to use. I'm currently doing a spells only challenge run on this very channel, so you guys can feel free to check it out if you like. But now we're going to come back up this way. And we've got some, like a little tower to clear here. The fun thing about this game is similar to its teachings of like the Buddhist influence piece of it, where things are kind of like cause and effect, cyclical. We're going to actually come back to this area, and it's really impressive to me how they did it and even implement it to the story in such a nice way. But here on this first floor inside of the tower, there's a massive lift. We're going to take the lift up, but we're going to turn around immediately upon using it and activating that mechanism, and we're going to jump off as soon as we see a platform here. So when we see that platform here, it's a good opportunity to jump off, because if not, you're going to go all the way to the top, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to drop at the halfway point, we're going to exit, and we're going to grab some goodies. So here we have some fire pots, looks like they're actually making some. And we're going to continue going around. We got an enemy here, lovely. We got another bro over here, even better. We're gonna grab this and try not to get poisoned, lovely. And we can go down this ladder. We're just kind of making our way around. You may have noticed that we passed the ladder already on the way here, but that's okay. It's by design. It's just so we can go through the most effective way and optimize our efficiency here. We don't want to be running around, backtracking, getting lost. So come up this ladder, we're going to circle around. This is a big boy, he's a little tanky, so if you can get the backstab with the axe, wonderful. If not, just punish him. We're going to grab this here, which is a benediction, which is vitality ward. We're going to circle back the way we came, go back down the ladder, up that mini ladder, and then we're going to go up the other ladder that I missed initially. So just so that you know, so you can take a look at the benediction vitality ward as well if you're interested. All of them have different effects and synergies based on kind of what your style of gameplay is. So when you have full health, you get reduced damage that you take. So it's interesting to me because I prefer to have an offensive playstyle and build versus defensive. because in my opinion, and as I've always kind of, something that's always been taught to me is that defense delays defeat, right? So you can be incredibly tanky, but over time, even the tankiest person will die if you just keep taking punishment, right? So instead, if you're offensive, and if you stay on the offensive as well, more aggressive, the game kind of rewards that, one, and then two, you'll be dealing damage and not necessarily being concerned with receiving damage. So there we went ahead and grabbed the item over there on that side. We're gonna grab this item as well, and you're rest assured it's no bait, not a trap or anything. This guy he's gonna just eat. So you can take him out if you want. And there's nothing on the other side of those crates, I promise. We'll take this ramp up, and then we're gonna be on the other side of the lift. So this is the lift right above us. We're actually gonna be dropping down here. This is where we jumped off on the lift, the halfway point, and then we went out this way and grabbed the fire pots. We're going to be dropping down one final time though, so we can grab this item right here. It's a purple item, so we know it's going to be something good. It's a faint red feather, so it's an upgraded material. We can go ahead and call the lift down, which, as of patch 1.5, should be moving much faster, right? Look at that. That thing is booking it. And then now we can take the lift back up all the way to the top. No silly business here. But remember, just like in any good Souls-like, you're always going to have ladder or elevator type secrets or lift secrets, and this game is no exception to that rule, which makes me really happy. It's like they knew exactly what they were doing. So here, you could get down here, but there's absolutely no benefit to doing so. There aren't any items or anything like that, so ill-advised. Do not do it. There's no point in doing that at all. Instead, go down the proper pathway, which is this scaffolding right here. And then here's going to be the lift mechanism if you need it. We're going to go across this scaffolding, and then we're going to see a familiar face in just a moment. I want to go ahead and grab this item here. Get the flame word pill, ×2 of course. We get the broken token. So if you look at the broken token, which is really fun to say, I didn't realize that was such a fun thing to say. But this one here has a flavor text and item description that explains there's a female Taoist named Qingyuan, and then we have this here that has the Taoist name Wuze. Interesting thing is that the differences in the quest lines can be determined by the timing and the items that you give to the different NPCs. So because we gave the Trinity Bell, these items will never be used or given to anybody else. Had we given the Taoist token to Huangjian Yi earlier in the previous episodes, then that would have triggered a completely different outcome. More often than not, you typically still get the same items as rewards eventually. However, the NPC may become hostile, or you might just have a different outcome where maybe they don't survive, or maybe they do survive, or what have you. So as you may know, this is a Souls-like, so most side quests aren't going to end very peacefully. So here we see Pinwheel, so we know that Hey Jose must be nearby. So let's chat with our old friend.
Wuchang, you made it.
Essentially, he's now going to inspect our arm and make sure that our affliction isn't getting any worse. And as we chat with him, he's going to give us the Cornucopia Elixir, which is a really powerful healing item, one that I typically just hold on to. And we also get a new set of armor, so we can say, what is this place? We've now arrived at Doom's Willow Beach. This is the only way to get to the Tang Emperor Palace, so we'll be getting here in due time. Remember in the very first episode, just after exiting the and defeating the Shrine Maiden, we got a lost package. So now we can give him everything he needs, and then we get a lore item in return. So this lore item not only indicates and tells us what our real name is, but also how we go and earn the moniker Wuchang, or how we got that name, or the reason why we go by that name now. And we also got the pirate set of armor, which is a full set of armor. It's pretty decent. I honestly just prefer what we have though, but if you go to the pirate hairpin here, this is what it looks like. It's a very decent set of armor. But it doesn't have anything in particular that's very strong, so I do, you know, more often than not prefer to have just the standard embroidered set or what have you, because we're going to be facing off with fire and poison and corruption and different things like that, so it's really just up to you. Especially at some points, I just kind of go pure fashion souls. That's whatever you like. But anyways, what we're going to be doing is making our way to the first save point in this area. So we've exhausted the dialogue with Heiyose, and now we can press forward. We've got a cuckoo nearby, so we can equip our knives again. Our flying daggers, if you will, and we can go ahead and throw it, take him out. This is the other side of Doomwillow Beach. When we came here from the Light Zen Temple, we actually, as right across the Panda Cave, for example, we were able to get a benediction on the other side of this. We are now on the opposite side, so we've made it through. Now we can go down here. And one thing I want to mention is this lore item, when I got quiet, is because that did not exist before. So prior to 1.5, so patch 1.4 and on, this did not exist. So let's go ahead and check it out and see what it says. We, Chen Yu, Zhang Cheng, Li Chang, and Chang Da have come to purge this evil. You get Mind Lotus Seeds now. Should we fall, we beg those who follow. Slay the feathered fiend and return peace to our town. Interesting. That's new, guys. That's really awesome. Some of the additions, in my opinion, have been really nice because not only do they provide closure, but also additional details and lore that you just didn't have before. So I mean, I'm all about free items. So thank you. All right, guys. I want to share something very important with you guys. Don't ever just rush a shrine. There are mimic jars in this game, and guess what? There's also mimic shrines. A lot of people say, oh, well, there's the only way you can tell is if you go up to a mimic shrine, it says interact instead of offer blood. Well, that is true, but there's a much more easy and obvious tell here. If you look at this particular individual in the shrine, he doesn't have his instrument with him. He typically has like a sort of stringed instrument with him. And if he doesn't have that, then that means he is going to be a mimic. And also, yes, if you do want to get close enough, it does say interact instead of offer blood. Additionally, you can, at some, if you want, you can actually, once you start getting up to the enemy and attacking them, you'll see that it's going to have a health bar and whatever else, but the biggest and the most obvious tells, as opposed to just running and slashing every shrine you see, because you might not be prepared for that fight, you want to make sure you know, does it say interact, or does this guy have the instrument? It's so easy from afar to tell if he's a mimic shrine or not. So I'll show you the difference so you can see, but this here is a mimic because he doesn't have his instrument. If you get close enough, it says interact, but I wouldn't really necessarily advise that because that's who would do that? Why would we get that close? So attack him from behind, kill him with relative ease, and then you'll activate the actual shrine, which guess what? He has his instrument now. You see how much easier it is to tell that he has his instrument versus not? So that's much easier. And now, of course, if you get close enough, offer blood. But I would never really, you can't get attacked or harmed that way, but if I'm cautious of something, I'm not going to get all up in its face and be like, what does it say here? I'm going to take a look and see from afar what's the easiest tell and sign that this is a mimic shrine. So just look for the instrument. And I want to thank some very valuable members of chat that have shared that information with me. And along the way in our first playthrough, we were sharing information back and forth, and it was just so nice to have certain individuals in chat just sharing all of these really valuable pieces of information. So there's so many people that have given me those kinds of tips and knowledge that I don't want to list them all, but I do. You definitely know who you are. So thank you all so much for being such amazing people and amazing part of the community. But we're gonna go ahead and activate the shrine, see if we can do anything to upgrade our health or anything any further. So let's see here. Not health, but our stats any further. Let's see. You could go health actually if you wanted to. Just trying to take a look and see what would be the best and most, obvious choice. But yeah, we can go ahead and bump up the health. Why not? That node's really nice. We can enter the dream to respawn everything. And what we're going to do really quickly is we're going to go ahead and grant any items that are necessary to a Tao Ching. So when you go to teleport, we're going to see we have Reverent Temple. So we have the dialogue that we can have there. And then we also have Tao Ching over at Shu Sanctum. So let's go to Reverent Temple really quickly. And we'll speak with Xuanyang Zi. He should be up this way. Again, we have this incredible weapon now. It's so nice. And just so that you know, as of patch 1.5, this piece of lore right here is also new. But it says Prince Su's forces clashed head-on with Marquis Young's troops. The battle ended in a crushing defeat. Yet in retreat, they tormented the people, burning and torturing wantonly in their search for food. The foodless burned alive, those with grain spared. Their cruelty knew no bounds. So that's additional lore that we get that was not present in episode 1. If you go towards the donation box, you'll see, if you go back to that episode, that it wasn't there. So any change that has been made in the game, I will try and identify and point out to you guys, but I'm still discovering them as well, because it's only day 2 of patch 1.5 and there was not a comprehensive list given to everybody. So speak with Leenzee, and we're going to go ahead and get through this. We'll get the Steam Bunny Bun times 5, and now we can go to Shoe Sanctum. As we're going down to Shoe Sanctum, I do want to mention a few things for you guys. If you did not give Huang Jian-yi the Trinity Bell because you want to do her alternate outcome or her alternate quest line, now would be the time when you go to Shoe Sanctum to, instead of giving her the Trinity Bell, to give her the Taoist token instead. But we are going for the more happy outcomes, or the intended outcomes, if you will, the more complete quest lines in this playthrough, so you can see everything, all the additional content. So we're not going to be making anybody hostile just right off the bat, right? We'll save that for another run. So here we can speak with Tao Ching, hand over the believer's statue. He gives us a little bit of lore about the twins. That's why we had the twin infant pendant. We now know that Lu Bingjiang was a twin as well, and his brother was kind of in the cave managing things from that side of things. But now we can have access to the centipede hood. So the centipede hood is incredible. It looks great. It doesn't have the best defenses, but it is something that's really nice to look at. And then other than that, we have all the traditional standard items that we had already purchased and gotten, from the previous episodes. But yeah, excellent set. You can buy it. It looks fantastic. It doesn't have the best resistances, but has some pretty decent damage mitigation. We didn't pick up anything new for Wukong, so there's no need to chat with him unless you need to re-up on certain items. And then now what we can do is we can teleport back to the Doom Willow Beach area, and you're going to see that there's 2 NPC icons there. We have one which is the white-robed elder, and then one for the red-clad lady. But that is going to be saved for the next episode, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you found anything new, learned anything new, enjoyed it, got any kind of value, please be sure to like and subscribe. And hey, throw a comment in there too. It helps the algorithm. Honestly, as a full-time content creator, it's these little gestures that go such a long way. So I want to say thank you all so much for being the best part of my channel. Be sure to click on the videos on screen to continue your journey through Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and I'll be there to guide you. Thank you all so much again for being the best part of my channel. You guys are truly amazing, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. Until then, it's the Inhuman one, signing out.